The confidence that they attain while seeing themselves in these set curriculums or books, they start to adapt on that feeling of strength coming into a classroom, knowing that their identity is being seen. The professional learning is all about the practical hands-on experience and how to use the box. So the box is not just used when a child's patka comes off.
In 2026, protecting a student's dignity requires moving past surface-level diversity policies to deploy tangible educational kits, staff training workshops.
When we lead with purpose, we attain that knowledge and make sure that that kindness follows through. You don't necessarily need a title to change. The system needs to change.
Hello everyone, this is Kripa Anand and welcome to the She and Success podcast, a national platform spotlighting powerful women who are shaping the future of business, leadership and impact across Canada. Today we break down educational leadership, practical cultural inclusion and the purpose-driven advocacy required to build supportive learning environments. In 2026, protecting a student's dignity, fostering true cultural understanding across healthcare and recreation, and creating inclusive school boards requires moving past surface-level diversity policies to deploy tangible educational kits, staff training workshops, and community-centered leadership. Joining us today is Rosey Kaur, CEO and founder of the Patka Box, author and candidate for Peel District School Board trustee in Caledon. With over 20 years of experience as an educator and founder of Concept One Learning Centre, Rosey has dedicated her career to student achievement, character development, and cultural belonging. Her groundbreaking Patka Box initiative equips educators, recreation centres, and healthcare teams with practical resources, spare patkas, and step-by-step guidance to support Sikh children with dignity. So, before further ado, let's welcome this very special guest. Rosey, welcome to the podcast. Such a pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you so much for having me today.
Now, Rosey, many school systems talk about academic excellence, right? But true educational leadership starts with creating spaces where every child feels safe at the end of the day. Let's start the conversation by understanding from your perspective, how has your education journey shaped your approach to student confidence and cultural belonging?
That's a great question. I think the biggest thing is confidence starts when you belong.
Yeah.
So in my teaching, I always make sure that children are seen. So whether through books, through curriculum, programming, and the confidence that they attain while seeing themselves in these set curriculums or books, they start to adapt on that feeling of strength coming into a classroom, knowing that their identity is being seen, valued, and heard.
Right. Wow, I think that explains why you've been so thoughtful about this. But is this something that you've always wanted to do, even, space like this, working, giving back to the community? Were you always, giving even as a child or growing up?
Well, that's growing up in a very family where, your father was so spiritually connected.
Yeah.
He oftentimes would say to me, one day you're going to be a teacher. At the age of 19, you don't know where your life is going to take you.
Yeah.
But at that moment, kids would come asking, can Rosey come out and play? Being 19 and having kids that are like 5 or 6 wanting to play with somebody of my age.
Yeah.
So I knew the only thing that I could do was pretend there was a school in the garage. So they would call me Miss Rosey at that moment in my life.
Oh, wow.
And as I grew up, fast forward to university and getting my education, Concept One started. Becoming a teacher became even more to the heart. This is something that I want to do.
Right.
So I think it was instilled and engraved in my heart since I was little.
Wow, I think it's beautiful how, some things that, you hear around your family and they just turn out so beautifully well in life. You've also shared a story about a phone call that, changed the entire thing. So let's now talk about that phone call that sparked a national movement for cultural understanding. So go ahead.
So there was no business plan. There was no, the phone call came at about 1 o'clock, 2023. And I remember that day because I have a homeschool. Students wear patka in my classroom. And that teacher took on that leadership role of asking for help. The question to me was, how do I put that patka back on that child? She could have easily called the parents, but she wanted to somehow gain that support even within herself, because what if this happens again? So the only way we could have done this was through a phone call and a video chat. So technology at its best.
Right.
Used one of my students, and we were able to step by step go through the process of tying the patka.
Yeah.
I still can recall that image of that video call where that student felt so happy knowing his identity was put back on. And that teacher, the emotions that teacher was going through, like, thank you, Rosey. But the question that was asked was, do you have a resource on this? I'll get you one in an hour. But there was no formulation of a business plan on, do I have enough material to even make a box?
Yeah.
But I just went ahead with that feeling, had whatever I had at home and put everything together. And that's when the Patka Box was formulated.
Wow, I think it's beautiful when sometimes when you're listening and giving someone an empathetic ear, right? And that turns into something of such a good cause. Because specifically in a country like Canada, where there's so much diversity, I think no one focused on this specifically. And it just boggles our mind that how is this possible that no one has ever done this before, when this is something so basic, so timely, and so much needed. So, Rosie, I'd just like to say thank you from our entire team and the entire Canadian team for being so thoughtful and being such a genuine soul and, thinking about something like this.
Thank you for that.
Now, Rosie, let's transition directly into the systemic impact and evaluate why professional development for staff is also key to true inclusion, right? Because when you're working, it's not just you, it's also the entire team around you. So, I understand that you give a lot of inclusive workshops as well. So, go ahead and educate our audience about how do your workshops help staff understand Sikh identity with confidence and respect.
So the biggest thing that I wanted to do was making sure that giving a Patka box to the educational system, I'm not just giving a box.
Right.
There has to be a system around it.
Yeah.
So what is a Sikh? What do they look like? Am I allowed to touch their article of faith? So I formulated a professional learning that is about 22 minutes online. And then I also go in person. We want to make sure that questions are being asked without judgment. So if there are questions during that professional workshop, I always make sure that they are answered in a way that they feel confident leaving the workshop.
Right.
So practical hands-on experience on how to tie a patka on a mannequin, for example.
Right.
So that they have the ability to use that concept on a child without feeling that they can't do it. Workshops include that practical emphasis on what if the jurad, the top knot, comes undone?
Right.
Do you have the experience or the ability to retie it? Nowadays, a lot of people can tie a bun. But we want to make sure that they don't feel uncomfortable doing something that they don't want to. So the professional learning is all about the practical hands-on experience and how to use the box. So the box is not just used when a child's patka comes off. It's used during Sikh Heritage Month curriculum, presentations, a new child that comes into the school that is the only Sikh boy. How do we have educators become educated on the awareness of the Sikh identity? You can simply go into the box and educate yourself. So there's a large number of educational materials that will help guide each and every educator that's working in the system.
Wow, I think kudos to everything that you've done so far. And when you say you train the staff members as well, so that is despite their nationality and despite everything, right? Because when they are in that leadership position, that child of that Sikh identity needs you, and at that point it won't matter which nationality you come from, right?
And that's the
Yeah.
training that I do. It's not just a Sikh faith.
Right.
If we look at the Sikh faith-based teachers,
Yeah.
some of them don't even know how to tie a patka. So they'll say, Miss Rosie, can you train us as well? The other thing that I wanted to say was over 5,000 teachers in the city of Brampton now have the knowledge on how to tie a patka.
Wow.
At first, I was afraid of standing up there in front of a group of recreation staff members,
Right.
students. Would they actually understand? Would they actually want to do something like this? The amount of positive feedback that I got from individuals, rec center staff, like, thank you.
Yeah.
We have students that come into rec center programs,
Right.
and at times we're too afraid. This gives the ability for them to be at ease, to go into it with confidence as recreation staff, learners.
Right.
And they're able to give high fives now. Like, I know how many colors you have in your closet. What colors do you wear? Right? I'm here to help you. So that's what begins, is that connection building.
Wow. I think equipping staff with such practical knowledge and empathetic training, it ensures that every student feels respected and represented every single day. So thank you once again. All right, it's time for a quick break right here, but don't go anywhere, because when we come back, Rosie will share how her passion for education and advocacy is guiding her vision for a stronger school community. Stay tuned.
At Purolator, we understand the importance of every delivery, whether it's a document, a special gift, a critical healthcare shipment, or an entire warehouse worth of inventory. Throughout our more than 60-year history, we've honed our expertise to build out a powerful portfolio of logistics services that enable us to deliver on every promise. Whether shipping across town or around the globe, from small and medium-sized businesses to industrial, technology, retail, and healthcare sectors, Purolator serves a diverse array of customers. So no matter what, where, or when you're shipping, Purolator's expertise, experience, and innovative solutions enable us to deliver on your promises.
Welcome back. Let's continue our conversation with Rosie. Now, moving ahead into the conversation, let's turn our attention to governance and discuss your campaign for Peel District School Board Trustee in Caledon. So, what inspired you to run for School Board Trustee in Caledon? Go ahead.
Well, again, it wasn't something that I planned. I did think about it 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And I told my husband that, I'm gonna run for school trustee.
Yeah.
But because I had the homeschool, I thought, let me stay with what I have right now.
Yeah.
But there's something within me that wanted to go beyond the classroom setting. With the experience that I have, with the knowledge that I can provide, how can I bring that experience to the trustee table? When I go through the Patka Box movement, there are families that have so many questions, so many concerns. Children are now at a place where they're not reaching their student achievement. So how can we help? How can we bring that to the level that the parents want, to the level that the students want? And I want to be that voice for them. Because in my heart, I feel if we listen, that's when the impact happens.
Right. Wow, so beautifully articulated. I think that completely sets a new benchmark for purpose-driven civic engagement in a sense, right? Bringing decades of direct classroom and family experience to the school board trustee table, it kind of ensures that policy decisions remain focused on student success and community well-being, and the focus doesn't, disappear after the elections are done. So, all the very best from our entire team for that. Now, let me draw on your 20 plus years of teaching, advocacy, and leadership for an immediate, practical takeaway for our audience. I'm loving this conversation today, and definitely we would love for you to be back, hopefully for a deeper discussion that we get to do with Rosie the next time. But for today, before we let you go, if there's one final message that you have for our listeners today, something for the next generation of community leaders that you'd want them to remember long after they've finished listening to this episode, if you could whisper one thing into everyone's ears, what would it be and why?
I think my voice would be for you is to lead with purpose. When we lead with purpose, we attain that knowledge and make sure that that kindness follows through. Have mentorship where you're able to mentor with those individuals that are able to help provide that experience for you as well.
Right.
You don't necessarily need a title to change a certain way that you feel that the system needs to change. Follow your heart, speak up, and the rest will follow.
That is indeed a spectacular reminder that true leadership relies on putting children first and always giving back to the community. Rosey, it was such a pleasure having you. Thank you so much for being here and doing this with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, that was Rosey Kaur from Patka Box, showing us how to collapse the gaps of surface level diversity, leverage practical educational tools to build student dignity, and deploy purpose driven leadership to secure community growth in 2026. To all the listeners, thank you so much for tuning in to She and Success. To learn more about how we are supporting women entrepreneurs beyond the show, please visit the She and Success Foundation at sheandsuccessfoundation.ca. A very special thank you to our exclusive shipping partner, Purolator, for their ongoing commitment to supporting women entrepreneurs and helping them build, grow, and lead successful businesses across Canada. I'll see you all in the next episode. Kripa Anand signing off.